My fiancée turned our wedding into a business transaction. I called off the wedding. I don't know if I'm making the biggest mistake of my life or dodging the biggest bullet. Let me back up. My fiancée Lana, 28, and I got engaged almost 2 years ago. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. I run an interior design workshop that's been steadily growing. She works in PR and event planning. She's brilliant at what she does, always networking, always on. I've always been more low-key, focused on the craft and building something solid, but we balanced each other out, or so I thought. The shift started about 4 months ago when my best friend Sean, 31, known him since college, started doing some contract work with Lana's PR firm. They were helping market his construction company's expansion. Suddenly, every conversation with Lana involved Sean. Sean is opening a second location. Sean just landed this huge commercial contract. Sean has such vision for where his business is going. At first, I was happy for him. Sean has always been ambitious, sometimes to a fault. But then the comparisons started. Not direct ones, Lana's too smart for that. It was always wrapped in concern. Don't you ever think about expanding? Babe, you're so talented, but do you have a growth strategy? Sean was saying there's this property that would be perfect for a showroom. I brushed it off. My business is doing well. I have 6 employees, we're booked solid for months, and I actually get to do the creative work I love instead of just managing. Then 2 weeks ago, Lana and I had dinner with her mom, Diane. Diane has always been particular. Everything's about image, about status. The conversation turned to our wedding plans, and Diane made this comment. Lana, darling, I just hope you're not settling. Your father and I didn't raise you to be comfortable. We raised you to be exceptional. The way Lana looked at me when her mom said that, like she was seeing me for the first time and finding me lacking, that stuck with me. But here's where it gets weird. 4 days ago, Sean texted me. The message was long, but the gist was, man, I need to be real with you. Lana's been talking to me about doubts. She loves you, but she's worried you're not thinking big enough for your future together. You should consider that showroom property. Show her you've got the same drive she does. I stared at that message for an hour. My best friend telling me my fiancé was confiding doubts about me. To him. Telling me I needed to prove myself. With a business expansion that would cost me 2 years of savings and put my company at risk. Something clicked. This wasn't advice. This was a test. I was being asked to prove my love by risking everything I'd built on a venture I didn't even want. So I called Lana that night. I asked her directly, do you have doubts about us? She hedged, said she just wanted us to grow together to reach our potential as a couple. I asked what that meant. She said, I just need to know I'm not settling, Edward. You're too comfortable being small. I need a partner who wants more. I asked. More what? More money, more status, or more authentic happiness? She got quiet. Then she said, why can't it be both? Because, I told her, you're asking me to change who I fundamentally am to fit an image of what you think we should look like to other people. That's not growing together, that's me shrinking to fit your expectations. We went in circles for 2 hours. Finally, I said I needed time to think and hung up. The next morning, I woke up knowing what I had to do. This wasn't working. Not now, not ever. So I started canceling everything. The venue, the caterer, the photographer. Every deposit lost, about $8,000 total. Then I called Lana and told her the wedding was off. 3 hours later, she showed up at my workshop. I was in the middle of sanding a custom dining table when I heard her car pull up. She came through the door like a storm. What the hell, Edward? She wasn't yelling yet, but I could see she was holding it back. You canceled everything. Without even discussing it with me, I put down the sander and looked at her. We discussed it last night for 2 hours. Oh my God, she laughed, but there was no humor in it. You're really doing this. You're really throwing away 2 years because I suggested you think bigger. You didn't suggest, you tested. There's a difference. She stared at me and I could see her recalibrating, shifting tactics. Her voice softened. Babe, I'm sorry if it came across that way. I want us to have the life we deserve. Don't you want that too? Why is it wrong to want you to be proud of what you're building? I am proud, I said, but my pride comes from the work itself, not from how it compares to Sean's company or your mom's expectations. The moment I said Sean's name, something flickered across her face. "This is about Sean," she asked, but her tone was different now, defensive. "Is it?" I asked back. "You tell me. He's your best friend. You used to admire his drive." "I did, until he started telling me my fiancé doesn't think I'm ambitious enough, until he became the yardstick you're using to measure whether I'm good enough." Lana's face went red. "You know what? Fine. You want to stay small, but don't act like you're taking some noble stand. You're just scared. Scared to take risks, scared to want more, scared to be anything other than a guy who plays with wood in a warehouse." That one stung, but it also clarified everything. This was how she really saw me. "I'm not scared to want more," I said. "I'm scared to want the wrong things for the wrong reasons, and I'm definitely not scared to walk away from someone who thinks loving me is settling." She opened her mouth, then closed it. For a moment she looked like she might cry. Then she straightened up, composed herself. "You're making a mistake," she said, her voice cold now. "You're going to regret this." "Maybe," I said, "but I'd regret marrying someone who sees me as a project to fix even more." She left without another word. My phone's been blowing up ever since. Calls from Diane that I already know how they'd go if I picked up. Messages from Sean saying he was just trying to help and that he's sorry it came down to this. I haven't answered any of them. Reddit, I honestly don't know. Half of me feels free, like I just avoided a marriage where I'd always be measured against someone else's yardstick. The other half wonders if I just gave up on someone I loved because I was too proud to compromise. Update 1. So, things have happened. A lot of things. I don't even know where to start. The week after I posted, Lana's friends started reaching out to me. Some were angry. Apparently Lana's version of events painted me as a guy who gave up at the first sign of commitment and wasn't man enough to take risks. But a few reached out quietly to say they'd seen red flags too. One of her friends, Jessica, asked to meet for coffee. She seemed nervous, kept looking around like someone might see us. Finally, she said, "Edward, I need to tell you something. About 6 weeks ago, Lana and Sean went to this industry mixer together. I was there. They were close, really close, dancing, laughing, his hand on her waist." When I asked Lana about it the next day, she said they were just networking and that Sean was helping her understand the construction side of her business. My stomach dropped, but honestly, I wasn't surprised. Jessica continued. "A couple weeks after that, I overheard her on the phone with her mom. She said something like, 'Mom, I can't keep pretending Edward's enough. Sean gets it. He wants the same things I do.'" I didn't know what to do with that information, especially with the wedding coming up. I thanked Jessica for telling me. She looked relieved, like she'd been carrying this weight. That same week, something else happened. I was at a supplier's meeting and a guy I know, works in commercial real estate, pulled me aside. "Hey man, sorry about your wedding, but between you and me, that property Sean was pushing you toward, total money pit. Foundation issues, zoning problems. I actually warned Sean away from it 6 months ago when he was considering it for his own expansion. Weird that he'd suggest it to you. So my best friend was literally trying to get me to sink my savings into a disaster property. The same property he'd rejected for himself. I went home that night and looked at my phone for a long time. Sean had texted me a few more times with his sorry man routine, but I hadn't responded. Now I opened his contact and blocked him, just straight up blocked him on everything. Then I called my college roommate Jake, who's still friends with Sean's business partner. "Jake," I said, "I need you to be honest with me. What's the word on Sean's company?" Long pause. Then, "It's not good. He overextended hard on that expansion. He's been pushing his guys to cut corners on projects to make deadlines. There's talk of clients noticing quality issues." Suddenly, it all made sense. Sean wasn't succeeding, he was barely surviving, and he was so desperate to look successful that he was willing to burn his best friend to do it, hoping I'd fail so he'd look better by comparison. I hadn't heard directly from Lana since the breakup, but she was making her presence known through social media. Lots of posts about knowing your worth and not settling for mediocrity. Diane apparently told several mutual acquaintances that I lacked vision and that Lana dodged a bullet. Meanwhile, my business was actually doing great. Losing those wedding deposits hurt, but not having the stress of the wedding planning. I threw myself into work. One of my clients, this older couple renovating their lake house, told me they were so impressed with my designs that they wanted to refer me to their daughter, who's an architect working on a residential development. Her name's Maris. Maris came by the workshop the next week. She was professional, creative, had this way of talking about spaces that matched exactly how I think about them. We clicked immediately on a design philosophy level. She asked if I'd be interested in collaborating on the model homes for her development, 30 houses total, each needing custom interior design. It was the biggest contract I'd ever been offered, not because I was chasing it, but because I'd been doing good work consistently. I signed the contract the same day I blocked Sean. The universe has a weird sense of timing. Now here's where it gets messier. Last week, Lana posted a photo on Instagram, her and Sean at some fancy restaurant downtown. The caption was something about new beginnings and finding someone who matches your energy. The comments were mixed. A lot of people congratulating them, but I noticed several mutual friends had unfollowed her. One comment caught my eye, though. It was from a guy named David who works in Sean's industry. Interesting timing, considering the Riverside project. Sean deleted the comment within an hour, but I screenshot it. I asked Jake about Riverside. Turns out it's a major commercial contract that Sean was counting on, and the client just pulled out because they discovered some safety shortcuts Sean's crew had taken on a previous job. The contract was worth about $400K. Sean is in trouble, and now he's publicly dating my ex-fiancée. A few people have asked if I'm going to expose them, tell everyone what really happened. Honestly, I'm not. They're doing a fine job of that themselves. I'm just focusing on my work and this new project with Maris. We've had 3 design meetings so far, and I'm not going to lie, she's brilliant and easy to talk to, and doesn't make me feel like I need to be anything other than who I am. There's something about being around someone who appreciates authenticity instead of constantly measuring success by other people's standards. Update 2. I wasn't planning to post again, but the last few months have been a lot. So remember how I ended the last update talking about Maris, the architect. We've been working together on the residential development, and it's going incredibly well. The model homes are getting attention. We've had features in 2 local design magazines and an architecture blog. But more than that, Maris and I have become friends. Good friends. About 6 weeks ago, we were working late at my workshop. She looked up from the samples and said, "Can I ask you something personal?" I said, "Sure." "What happened with your wedding? You don't have to tell me, but everyone talks around it and I'd rather hear it from you." So I told her everything. The pressure to expand, Sean's manipulation, Lana's test. When I finished, Maris was quiet for a minute. Then she said, "Well, some people see relationships as ladders instead of partnerships. They're lost." We talked for hours that night. About ambition versus authenticity, about knowing your worth, about building something meaningful. It was the first time since the breakup that I felt truly understood. We've been dating for a month now. It's early and I'm taking it slow, but she's different. She challenges me creatively, not competitively. She wants to build things together, not compare who's building what. But that's not even the main reason I'm posting this update. 3 weeks ago, Sean's construction company collapsed. That Riverside contract I mentioned. It was the first domino. When that client pulled out and started investigating, they found he'd been falsifying inspection reports, using substandard materials, and cutting safety corners to meet deadlines and look profitable. Word spread fast in the industry. Within a month, he lost 4 more contracts. Then the lawsuit started. His business partner quit and is cooperating with the investigations to save his own license. Sean had to declare bankruptcy and dissolve the company. From what I hear, he's working as a project manager for someone else's firm now, doing the grunt work he used to delegate. And Lana, her PR firm, let her go. Turns out when your job is managing corporate reputations, you can't be publicly dating someone who's being investigated for construction fraud. Several of her clients had specifically dropped her because they didn't want association with Sean's mess. The firm decided she was a liability. She's been freelancing, I hear, but it's not going well. Diane apparently is furious, partly at Sean for being a fraud, partly at Lana for throwing away a stable future with me. Richard, Lana's dad, called me last month. He apologized for his family's treatment of me and said he wished Lana had valued substance over status. It was awkward but appreciated. The really crazy part happened 2 weeks ago. I was at a coffee shop near my workshop, working on some drawings when Lana walked in. She didn't see me at first. I was in the back corner. She looked tired, not the polished, put-together version I knew, tired and stressed and smaller somehow. She ordered, then turned and saw me. The expression on her face, shock, embarrassment, something like regret. She walked over. "Edward," she said. "Hi." "Lana." Awkward silence. "I heard about the magazine features. The model homes look beautiful." "Thanks." "And I heard you're seeing someone, the architect." "I am." Another silence. Then she said quietly, "I was wrong about everything. Sean, the ambition thing, what I thought I wanted. I was so focused on what success looked like that I forgot what it actually felt like." I didn't know what to say. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me just felt sad for her. "I'm sorry," she continued. "I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. You were the real deal and I was too caught up in the image to see it. I made a mistake." I took a breath. "Lana, I appreciate the apology. But you didn't just make a mistake. You let your mom's values override your own judgment. You let Sean manipulate both of us, and you turned our relationship into a performance. I hope you figure out what you actually want, separate from what everyone else wants for you. But that's not my job anymore." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and left without getting her coffee. I sat there for a while afterward, processing. I didn't feel angry or triumphant. I just felt free. Mari's texted me while I was still there. "How's the design session going?" with a photo of a tile sample she was considering for one of the bathrooms. I smiled and sent back my thoughts. Then I packed up my drawings and went back to my workshop. Sean and Lana were so busy climbing social ladders that they forgot to build a foundation. Now they're finding out what happens when you reach for height without depth. Meanwhile, I'm here building furniture and designing homes and dating someone who likes me specifically because I'm not trying to be someone I'm not. Funny how that works. Edit. A lot of you are asking if Sean and Lana are still together. From what I hear, no. And the breakup was messy. Apparently, when the money and status disappeared, so did their matching energy. Shocking, I know. Final update. I debated whether to post this final update, but I figured I owed it to everyone who followed this story and offered support when I was at my lowest point. It's been a year since I canceled my wedding, and my life looks completely different than I imagined it would. The residential development with Mari's is finished. All 30 homes sold within 6 months, and we got more commission work from it than either of us expected. We've started a formal partnership, Mercer and Stone Design plus Architecture. Mari's handles the structural vision. I handle the interior craft. We've got a small team now, and we're working on 3 more developments. But here's the thing that matters more than the business success. I wake up excited about the work. Not because it's impressive or because it looks good on social media, but because I genuinely love what we're creating. Mari's pushes me creatively in ways that make the work better, not in ways that make me question whether I'm enough. Speaking of Mari's, we got engaged last month. No elaborate proposal, no show. We were sitting on the floor of what's going to be our new shared workshop space, eating Chinese takeout and arguing about whether exposed beam ceilings were trendy or timeless, and I just knew. I asked her right there, with sauce on my shirt and sawdust in my hair. She laughed and said yes, and we sat there grinning at each other like idiots for about 10 minutes before she said, "We should probably actually pick a ring at some point." The ring we eventually chose cost about 1/10 of what Lana's cost, and Mari's loves it more than Lana ever seemed to love hers. We're getting married in 3 months. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. As for Sean, last I heard, he's still working as a project manager and trying to rebuild his reputation, but people remember. Once you cut corners and falsify reports, that reputation follows you. He apparently tried to start a new company 6 months ago, but couldn't get financing or insurance. He reached out to me about 4 months back, some long email about how he'd made mistakes and hoped we could reconnect. I deleted it without responding. Lana's trajectory has been different. After we ran into each other at that coffee shop, I heard through the grapevine that she'd moved back in with her parents temporarily while freelancing. Diane was apparently not subtle about her disappointment in her daughter's choices. But about 3 months ago, Lana started an Instagram account focused on ethical business practices and authentic branding. At first, I thought it was just another image to project, but Mari showed me some of her posts. They were honest, raw even. Talking about the pressure to perform, the cost of chasing status, the difference between looking successful and being successful. One post in particular stuck with me. She wrote about how she'd lost someone genuine because she was too focused on building an image of the perfect life and what other people would think. She didn't mention me by name, but it was clear what she was talking about. Hundreds of people, mostly young professionals, relating to that pressure. She's apparently turned it into a small consulting business, helping companies develop authentic brands instead of just flashy ones. It's modest but growing. More importantly, it seems like she's actually doing work she believes in rather than work that looks impressive. I don't follow her account. I hope Lana's genuine in her transformation. I hope she's building something real now on her own terms, separate from Diane's expectations. But that's her journey, not mine. As for Diane, Richard, Lana's dad, actually visited my workshop last month. He wanted to see the space before placing an order for custom cabinets for their lake house. While he was there, he mentioned that he and Diane have been going to counseling. Apparently, watching their daughter struggle after chasing the exact values Diane pushed on her had been a wake-up call. I told him I was glad they were working on it, and I meant it. A few weeks ago, Maurice and I were at a gallery opening for one of our projects. They'd turned one of the model homes into an art space, and they were showcasing local artists. At one point, I looked around at the space we'd created, at Maurice talking animatedly with a sculptor about incorporating art into residential design, at the warm lighting we'd chosen highlighting original work by talented people who were just starting out, and I felt this deep sense of rightness. Not pride exactly, though I was proud. More like alignment. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing, with exactly the right person beside me. The new workshop opens next month. Mari's name is on the door next to mine. We're hosting a small celebration, friends, family, clients who have become friends. It'll be casual, probably too casual by Diane's old standards, but it'll be real. And that's worth more than any impressive facade ever could be. So that's the update. To everyone who commented on my original posts, thank you. Your perspective helped me see clearly when I was doubting myself. I'm logging off after this. I'm happy, genuinely happy, and ready to focus on the actual building instead of the documenting. Edit. Someone asked what happened to Jessica, the friend who told me about Lana and Sean. She's doing great, actually became friends with Maurice and me. Good people exist, folks. Surround yourself with them.